Hi guys, it's me again, Renee. Alright, I heard in previous videos that the sound quality was not that good, that it was soft, the sound volume. I hope this is better. I will speak up louder and I hope you can hear me better. Alright, so I told you in the previous clip where I built this power supply, regulated power supply DC, that I would be showing you a way to utilize this by making colloidal copper. I will make this in this jar. Okay, colloidal copper, you need copper in your system to metabolize magnesium to make your skin healthy, your ligaments healthy, well, everything healthy, whatever. I found a lot of information on YouTube, on internet about it. I read it, I applied it, I used the copper myself, and since I have been using the colloidal copper, I have no more aches in the morning when I get out of bed. Normally I roll out of bed and everything is sore and stiff and whatnot, and it takes me like half an hour to get up and running. Now when I wake up, I just jump out of bed and I'm there. So that's something colloidal copper does. Simultaneously, I have to admit, I have also been supplementing myself with iodine, because I read that in the West, and that's where we live, I live in Europe, you live, most of you live in the States that watch this, you are really depleted of iodine, and in a way that is pretty amazing that the Food and Health organizations don't warn you about it. They tell you that 135 micrograms is enough a day of iodine. Well, it is not, I can tell you. Since I have been using iodine, my head cleared up, I have been full of energy. Well, my overall health is really good now. I have a son that's 9 years old now. He is diagnosed as being highly intelligent, highly gifted, they say. And he is pretty smart, but he really had problems with his emotions. When it gets really crowded, or well, he really had problems controlling his emotions, and you could see him flipper up and down. Since he has been taking iodine in small amounts, really small amounts, he one day said, I feel happier, I feel I can concentrate better. Well, if you read the science behind it, it's really amazing. But anyways, that is iodine. I really, really urge you to invest iodine. Do a search term on iodine deficiency and how you can use it. I use lugols iodine. I bought it online. It's really good, and it helps you get your mental health back really fast, I have to say. It works really fast. Besides that, I was reading about colloidal copper. I never heard of it. I heard about colloidal silver and colloidal gold, but not that you could use colloidal copper. And it turns out colloidal copper might be even more useful and necessary than colloidal silver. Silver just kills pathogens in your system, but your body doesn't do anything with it and just stores it, or you pee it out. If you use too much, you will store it in your fat tissue and you will become blue like a Smurf. Well, I don't recommend doing that. Copper, on the other hand, you need to help your system metabolize, and colloidal copper will also help you to get a balance in your mineral values in your system. Normally your iron is too high or too low, your calcium is too high or too low, we're always depleted of magnesium. If you start taking colloidal copper, you will be able to metabolize magnesium far easier. Your calcium levels will go to the right levels, because the calcium will go to the places where it is needed. Your iron levels will go to the right levels, and the iron will be metabolized in the cells, so you won't be anemic or stuff like that anymore. in our food is more than enough iron. We just need the right supplements to metabolize it. And the two things you really need is iodine and colloidal copper. Okay, so without further ado, I will show you how I make colloidal copper. This is one of the two electrodes that I just bent. It's a copper wire, pure copper, and I put it on the rim like this. On the other one is the other one. You can see this is the minus. On the minus, when you have electrolysis, you will always create hydrogen, and that was a dead fly. I just gave him a kick. On the negative pole, you will always create hydrogen, and on the positive side, you will create oxygen. And as we all know, oxygen corrodes metals, so also copper. You will get copper oxide. If the amps are really low, you will get the difference, the potential difference, and really small particles of the copper will dissolve in the water, and the water will become blue. There will also be particles that are bigger, but once you have completed this whole process, you just rinse this water, or you filter this water in a coffee filter, and you do that like 2-3 times with every time a new filter, and then you end up with beautiful blue water, and that blue water is filled with really small nanoparticles of copper. The big trick behind this to get nanoparticles and not too big particles is to get your voltage up and keep your amperage low. Alright, so I bought a few of these bottles. Here in Holland we have this water. It's demineralized water, so there is nothing in it, and you might probably know it, and if you don't, I will tell you. Demineralized water is really clean water. There are no minerals in it. It's in the word says it. And because there are no minerals in it, the water is non-conductive. So if you put a current on these two electrodes that I put in there, nothing will happen. There will be a static voltage between the two, but there will be no current. And for electrolysis, and even to create nanoparticles of copper, colloidal copper, we need a little bit of conductance. And your system really likes acids. It will help your cells open up to let the coppers in. So I use citric acid. I put a really small amount of citric acid and put it in the water. Just like that. A little bit more. Okay. Then I just click on the electrodes. This is the plus. Really simple. Plus is red, black is minus. And now I will ramp up the voltage in my power supply and just yank it up way high, as much as possible. It's about 27 volts now. It fluctuates because this is not really stable, but that doesn't really matter. So it's 27 volts, and the water is still not that conductive because I just put the crystals in there, but they're obviously not dissolved yet. So I just stir the water, hoping the crystals dissolve. And this is exactly 1 liter that I put in there. Okay. You can see I can see the crystals swirl on the bottom, so they don't dissolve that quickly. And if they're not dissolved, the water isn't conductive, so the process goes really slow. And you just have to play with it yourself to see how fast the process goes. It's electrolysis. It's actually the same process they use in electroplating. Okay. Well, this is what I do. I just put in some more crystals to speed up the electrolysis. And as you can see, there's not even 10 milliamps running through the system yet. So what I do is I keep filling it up with crystals until I reach a point where I begin to get about 10 milliamps of currents through this water. So 27 volts, 10 milliamps works for me. I tried this. I made some really nice colloidal water with it. Once it's done, I let it run for about a day, 12 hours to 24 hours. Check on it periodically. When the water is nice and blue, I take it out, I filter it through a coffee filter, and once all the bigger particles are out, I end up with colloidal water. That colloidal water I put into a nebulizer, a spray, you know, those bottles of hairspray where a nebula comes out of. I buy a clean bottle, put the colloidal water in there, and you can spray it on your skin. And it will really make your skin more elastic and more vibrant. It helps producing collagen and also works inside of you. So if you spray like 3-4 sprays of this water in your mouth every day, you get a minute amount of colloidal copper in your system, but all your ligaments, all your muscles, and all your tissue will start to regenerate. If you, besides using this colloidal copper, take in vitamin C, that can even be ascorbic acid, and that's how you say it in English, I believe. Then you also empower your cellular, your vessels. How do you say that? Your arteries. They will become much more elastic, so they can handle more pressure, and the chance that you will get a rupture of a vessel, so you get like a aneurysma or something like that, decreases to almost zero. It really improves your overall health. So this is colloidal copper. This is the way I do it. I use 27 volts, about 27 volts of DC current. I try to keep it at 10 milliamps. Use copper wire, and the copper wire slowly dissolves on the plus side and wants to attach to the minus side. And you can see that once it runs a time, then you see little black crumblings, and that's copper oxide on the minus side. You see the process is already beginning. You see the bubbles coming off of it. I hope you can see it. And that's electrolysis. So the electroplating to the other side begins, and the really small particles will float in the water and make the water blue. When it is done, filter out the bigger particles with the coffee filter. That's really important. You don't want to ingest big copper particles, big copper oxide particles. You just want to ingest and spray on the blue water that has the really small particles of copper. Don't use too much, and feel your body, listen to your body. But when you start doing this and include vitamin C, a lot of vitamin C, like 1,000-2,000 milligrams a day, you will increase the strength of your arteries. All your vessels will become stronger. Your ligaments will become stronger and more. Well, you will feel a lot better. Especially when you get older. Younger people don't have that problem mostly, but if you get a little older, then everything becomes more rigid. And I feel a lot more invigorated with this stuff. So I take iodine as a supplement and this colloidal copper, and use my vitamin C supplements. I take some magnesium now, and eat a lot of eggs and cheese because I'm a vegetarian. And in eggs and in cheeses, vitamin A, you really need that to use the copper. If you have that combination, well, you're as good as gold, to say. Okay, I will show you the electrode from the plus side I was using before when I made the last batch of colloidal copper, and I will show you how much copper is dissolved over a period of about 12 hours with 10 milliamps and 27 volts. Okay, so this is the thickness. No, that's not true. Let me take another one. Just a moment. Okay, I will put you down. I need 2 hands for this. Alright, it was the same thickness, but it doesn't matter. Okay. So, the bottom one is a brand new wire, and the top one is the old electrode, and you see how thin it became, and all that copper was dissolved in the water and tried to electroplate the other electrode. So the copper that is gone on the electrode here has dissolved in the water like I am doing here. And the big particles you just get out, and the small particles will create a beautiful blue water. And colloidal copper has many beneficial properties. It also kills bacteria and viruses, but it also strengthens your arteries. It increases intelligence, whatever. It's amazingly useful, and it's really strange that we never hear about it in the mainstream. They don't tell you to take copper. I believe in the States, when you have food additives or supplements, vitamin supplements, that in the States they do add copper, because you don't even have copper, how do you say that, conduits for your water there. We have it in Europe, but in the States you don't, apparently. That's what I heard. But in Holland we don't even have copper in our vitamin pills. But it is an essential mineral. Let's call it a mineral. It's a metal, of course, but you need it in your system, and nobody tells you that. But okay, so I made this power supply, and I that's my first thing I did with it, colloidal copper. Look into it, look into iodine. You really will love what you find, and you can help your own health with it. Okay, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you with the next project. See ya.